Hello everybody and welcome back to another Oscar prediction video where today I will be taking a look at the category of Best Documentary Short Film. So every year the short categories are really tough, and every year as I go through the list of categories, each of the shorts are like a band-aid. Just rip it off, get it out of the way as soon as you can, because yes, I am pretty clueless about them a lot of the time, but it's not like I'm going to learn any new information in the next 2 weeks that's going to change the way I feel about the shorts. Unlike with the animated short, where I could not watch any of them, I have watched 3 of the 5 nominees here, and I do think there is some really good work on display. Yeah, this is going to be a pretty short video because I don't know how much I have to say about each of the nominees, but let's just get going. 5th most likely to win is The Only Girl in the Orchestra. So I'm actually surprised that there are a number of people who are predicting this to win. This is one of the shorts that I've seen. This documentary focuses on double bass player Orrin O'Brien, who was the very first woman to play in New York's Philharmonic Orchestra. So obviously a very groundbreaking story, but here's what's funny about this documentary. It was directed by O'Brien's niece, and you can tell that she went into this documentary wanting to focus on what a groundbreaking story this is, and how she overcame expectations and broke the glass ceiling and all of that. But Orrin doesn't want to talk about any of that. Orrin, when she's interviewed, is like, I wanted to join the orchestra because I wanted to be anonymous. I genuinely didn't think of myself as any more special than any of the other players. And so because of that, the documentary has a whole different tone to it. There's moments where they talk about how the public reacted to her when she first joined, but for the most part, this movie is just showcasing her normal life and what she does day to day now that she is retiring. And really, the most remarkable thing about her is that she is the youngest looking 88-year-old on the planet. Who knew that the secret was to staying young was playing the double bass. But anyway, a lot of people are predicting this to win. And I get that on the surface, you go, oh, groundbreaking woman who broke the glass ceiling, and it's Netflix. So that makes sense. But when you actually watch it, it's very low-key. There's not a whole lot about how groundbreaking her journey was, and it's mostly just about what a normal person she is now and what a sweet aunt she is. Ironically enough, the movie does also focus on the fact that her parents were famous movie stars, which is not really relevant to the story that's being told, but you know that was thrown in there just to make Oscar voters interested. I guess that there could be some voters who vote for this. It's not a bad short at all, but it doesn't really seem like it's about much. Doesn't really seem like it's saying anything super relevant, because it actively tries not to focus on the groundbreaking aspect and just tries to normalize her. And I think while I understand why that decision was made, and while it's clear that the director wanted to respect her aunt's wishes, I do think that it makes the short feel less important as a result. So because of that, I don't think it's going to win. 4th most likely to win is Death by Numbers. So this is one of the few that I haven't seen. And so I hesitate to say too much about it. It involves Samantha Fuentes, the director, who tells her story about being injured in a school shooting and years later finding herself reaching out and to confront the man who shot her. So obviously a very impactful story, a school shooting. I can't say as much about this short as I can say about the ones that I have seen for obvious reasons. But just looking at the Letterboxd curve and looking at the amount of awards, it does seem to be on the lower end of the scale compared to some of the more popular shorts. It's hard to really say, it's hard to really quantify. I don't know anything. I only rank this above Only Girl in the Orchestra because I don't know anything, so maybe this one really is powerful and really is impactful. I genuinely don't know, but I'm not seeing a whole lot of people predict it, and it hasn't seemed to have won a bunch of awards, so I'm just playing it safe and not predicting it, but again, it's the short category, so anything is possible. 3rd most likely to win is Instruments of a Beating Heart. And now we're back to a short that I have seen. So this involves a group of first graders who are being taught to play Ode to Joy for the oncoming students, and specifically focuses on a young girl named Ayame who is trying to play the instruments and overcome her own personal self-doubts. So what's interesting about this short is that in many ways it doesn't feel like a documentary. There's not a lot of like talking heads and interviews. It feels like a narrative. It follows the character like the real person, like it's narrative. You forget that it's a real person and not a character because it could easily pass off as a live action short. And the thing is, it is very easy to get emotionally invested in this story because this young little girl just wants to play this instrument and is afraid she's going to mess it up, and that's easy to check off the emotional boxes. And I do think that this could get votes. I even thought for a period of time this could be a dark horse to win, simply because it's the cute one. The reason why I don't see it going all the way in the end is because, like Only Girl in the Orchestra, there's not a ton of substance behind it. Like, okay, here's how I would put it. When the documentary short wins, usually the producers get on stage and talk about, our movie is important because our movie is about this issue, and you should reach out and look up charities to help with this issue. It's usually something like that. And if this one wins, I can't imagine them being like, thanks for voting for our short. We think it's really important that little girls play instruments. Like, yeah, I guess. There's not much to it other than a basic overcome your fear and participate in the arts thing. It's a very basic short, but also it's effective, it's cute, it's going to tug at heartstrings, and so people could vote for it based on that alone. I ultimately don't think it's going to go that far because the top two in this category are both hitting much heavier subjects. But if the top two are too heavy for some people, then I could see some people wanting to vote for the feel-good, cute short. So it's not impossible that this wins, but I'm not predicting it. Second most likely to win is I Am Ready, Warden. So again, ping pong, I have not seen this one, and this one involves a man who is on death row for murder who is preparing to say goodbye to his family and attempting to reach out to the son of his victim. So this short, obviously, again, hitting on some heavier subject matters. And I haven't seen it, but from watching the trailer, I can guess that it's a short that's meant to make you very emotionally torn between what this guy did is obviously wrong, but in the time that he's been in prison, he's had a lot of time to reflect, and has he changed? Is there a world where he could be rehabilitated? Is the death penalty too cruel? Issues that we've been having, not we specifically, but society at large has been having about, is the death penalty ever warranted in a situation like this? So this short is certainly going to be it's certainly going to get people talking. And the filmmaker behind this short was previously nominated in this category for St. Louis Superman and did not win. Now I am seeing more and more people say that this one is a debatable winner, that this could happen. For some reason, the premise reminds me a lot of a short that we had a few years ago, Stranger at the Gate. That was also kind of dealing in these abstractions of right and wrong and the barrier between them. And for some reason, that short didn't win. So for whatever reason, I find it difficult to imagine this one winning. But again, I haven't seen it. So it is possible. I put it above Instruments of a Beating Heart because maybe if I did see it, I would be like, oh, wow, this is really powerful. This should win. But for some reason, I got to go with my gut. And I will say, when I saw the short that I have at number one, I was like, my gut says that's going to win. And the short that I do have predicted to win the Oscar is Incident. Okay, so this short is, in many ways, deceptively simple. The premise is, it is literally just a stitched-together group of video sources reconstructing a police shooting that occurred in 2018. And there's no music, there's no talking heads, there's no interviews, there's no narration, there's no filmmaker's perspective to talk about how this tragedy occurred. There's a few lines of text at the beginning, and then it just shows you what happened. The only filmmaking know-how is it shows you what happened in real time, but it cuts to the different angles, and it will only show a snippet of a sound from one camera angle at a time to show here's what the cops are thinking, here's what the protesters are thinking, here's what's happening over here. So there is a story being told subtly, but for the most part, there's no fancy filmmaking tricks going on. It's just showing you the facts up front. There's no way you can argue with them. You are just seeing exactly what happened. This is a black man who was shot multiple times in the back, and these police officers are trying to gaslight the people around them and themselves into thinking that this was self-defense when it so blatantly was not. And you watch it and you just get so upset and so furious at a system that allows this sort of thing to happen regularly. And I think this one is going to compel a lot of voters to, at the very least, vote for it. You watch it and you just go, Jesus Christ. It hits you right in the chest. And the one thing that I will say about the short is, even though there's not a lot of special techniques being involved, the one decision that they made that is so powerful is the screen is like divided into fourths, and we're seeing all of these things that are happening with the police and with the protesters and with the ensuing chaos, and there's always 1/4 of the screen that is just locked in on the body, and how the body is just lying in the middle of the street and no one is doing a thing about it. And it's just that. It's just so simple. It's so simple, and yet it's so effective. And you can argue that there's not a lot of actual filmmaking work that went into it, but sometimes the simplest approach is the best approach. And when I saw it, I was just shook, and I think a lot of voters are going to feel shook after watching it. Is it too much? Is it too harrowing? Perhaps for some voters, and for some voters might want to go for one of the lighter shorts like Instruments of a Beating Heart, which is seen as the cute one. I don't know. I'm Ready Warden, again, is the question mark in the race, but my gut is telling me that anyone who watches all 5, if they see Incident, they're just going to be compelled to vote for it because it's just that powerful. In its simplicity, yeah, I don't even know what else to say. That's what you say when you watch the movie. What can you even say about that? Hopefully I've said enough. This one is available to watch online. Oh man, I believe Incident will win. So thank you very much for watching this video, and tune in next time when I will be taking a look at the category of Best Sound. Thanks for watching.